our speaker. Benny Ifeanyi is a data and business intelligence analyst. He's gonna be taking us in a session talking about Power Query in Power BI. So yeah, I'll let him introduce himself, then he can take over the meeting. Yeah, welcome, Benny. Hello. Hi, Benedict. Can you hear me? You can start the session. I already introduced you. Maybe you can start.
Oh, okay. Oh, we can start. Oh, sorry. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
You're right. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hello everyone. So my name is Ifeanyi Yagora Benedict or Benny. So today we'll be looking at Power Query. So I'm a data analyst, also a technical writer, and also frequently contribute to open source as well. Um, so I think yeah, I forgot to make Okay, so we're looking at Power Query, and before we get started, I would just like to know maybe everybody's understand of Power Query, like who is familiar with Power Query. So I know how I should start the session. Hello, so is everybody here familiar with Power Query?
No, I don't have any idea about Power Query.
So okay, so Power Query is a data cleaning or data transformation engine that's found in most of the Microsoft technology. So you can find Power Query in Power BI, but it actually originally originated in Microsoft Excel. So Power Query is actually just this little box here in your Excel. So you come to data here and you see Power Query here. This box here is actually like Power Query, where you can make data transformation and clean your data. So for Power BI, one the Power BI is used for data analysis. You get your data from various data sources and you clean your data in Power Query. So the first step before you can analyze data is you actually need to get data. Without you having the data, you cannot analyze data. So we're going to do a quick run through into Power Query and see all we can do with Power Query. So the first step to use Power Query, especially in Power BI, is to this box here, the get data. So you click on get data and it gives you numbers of data sources. According to Microsoft, there are more than 200 data sources listed. You can also get it here initially before you load any data. You also see this, which gives you the most frequently used, which is Excel, SQL Server, or you can try a sample data sheet, or you can also see it here, get data. So go to click on get data and you can get data from various sources. So when you click on get data, you click on others. This gives you a few others, but here this shows you the list of different data sources you can get Power Query from. So you can get Power Query from your Excel workbook, from a CSV file, a test file, even from a folder as well, from databases, from your Azure service. even from Google Sheets and as well as GitHub and Salesforce. Okay, so we're going to just get Power Query from, we're going to look at various use cases today of how we can use Power Query. Okay, so the first thing we need to, this the data source we're going to use today. And I'm going to just, first of all, we're going to cover using Power Query to get data from a very simple use case. So let's start with a very simple use case of how we can get data into Power Query. So we'll come to, let's just open. So I come here to Excel workbook. I click on the Excel workbook. I click on Connect, and it asks me where I want to get the data from. So it's in my downloads and data source. And when I come here, I can pick the data source I want. So either from, so let's try this. So I click on this and I click on Open as well. So when you click on data sources, the Power Query Navigator opens. The Navigator allows you to, it shows you a preview of the data. So it shows you, for example, like how many sheets are on it, or using a server, how many tables are on it, and the tables in, and all of that. So if I click on this data, sales December 2015, it just shows data and it shows us the SR unit, the dates, the branch, the pizza sold, and the prices. So I click on it and it gives me a few. If I had other sheets in that Excel workbook, I would have seen the list of all the other sheets here, but I only have one sheet, which is the sales data sheet. So it gives me a preview of the data here, and I click on this and I press load. So there's load, there's transform. It's always advisable that you transform your data before you load it into Power BI. And the reason you do this is so that in case of errors, and it's always good to clean your data as close to the data source as always. So I click on transform. If you click on load, it's going to load the data directly into Power BI. But if you click on transform, it take us to Power Query. So I click on Power Query. We're also going to look at a scenario if maybe, for example, you mistakenly click on load and how you can also go to Power Query. So you click on load and it shows you all of this. So for the first time you're using Power Query, you wouldn't, this probably how your data is going to appear. It's just going to show like this. So Power Query is, one of the reasons why I like Power Query is because of its simple UI. You, though you need, sometimes you might need to write some codes to do what you want. So Power Query, like Excel, Excel uses Excel formula, Power BI uses DAX, Power Query uses the M code on the M languages, and this is the M code here. That's this. But the good thing is that you don't really need to learn it or even use it, especially you're going to really complex tasks or really complex situations. Most time when you click on, as soon as you click on a button or you click on a transformation, Power Query does transformation and writes the code for you. Okay, so we have this data here. And so the first thing you usually do out is to open your view tab here. So in the view tab, you'll see column quality, your column profile tools. So your column quality tells you the quality of your columns, how valid your columns is, how much errors it is, on how much empty your column is. So it's telling us, for example, in this particular column, we have valid 100%. There's no errors. There's also no empty columns as well. And if I scroll to the right, you see like this, for example, it's 100% empty, zero valids, zero errors, the same thing as this. So these columns are totally empty. So I move here now. Let's look at column distribution. If you click on column distribution, it gives you this kind of mini graph, which shows the distribution of your data, how much distinct is your data, how many unique values you have in that data, as well as the distinct and the unique. So let me do a quick introduction of what it means by distinct and what it means by unique and what it means. So this is what distinct and unique means. So if there are any questions, Larry could just let me know. So let's take a list of fruits. We have apples, we have oranges, we also have oranges. Like we also have mango. Here we have pineapple. And we have mango again. and we also have apples. So these are our fruits. These are our list of fruits. Okay. Then this is the serial number. So let's have one. And so let's look at all of this. So we're going to look at the count, the number of distinct, and the number of unique it has. So if you're asked like how many fruits are available here, you will say 8 fruits because there are actually 8 of these different fruits here. But if you say how many distinct they are, so distinct means like for example, how many types there are, how many if you move out the duplicates, like how many distinct types or how many distinct variables are there, how many distinct varieties are available. In this our data, we have apples. We also have oranges, and we have mangoes, and we have pineapple, and lastly, yeah, so I think that's it. So we have mangoes, we have apples, we have mangoes and apples again. So technically we only have 4 different distinct fruits here, which is 4. If you come here now to unique, the answer to this is not going to be 4. By unique, they mean if you move out those that are unique, those that don't repeat themselves, those that do not have a duplicate even, those that only appeared once, that's what unique means. So as far as it appeared once, it's unique. And the only one that does not appear once, that appears once is pineapple, which is 1. If we take this data now to Power Query, you'll see it's going to show us 4 and 1. Well, let me just make sure. So I do a count of the unique of everything here. I close the bracket, close the bracket. Okay, I can't say, but yeah. So 4. So we have 4 distinct. Okay. So I select this, I come to data here and I click on from table stroke range. So like I mentioned, Power Query is also in Excel. And the exact same way you use it in Power BI, the exact same way you use it in Excel. The only difference at Power BI, there are a lot more options. So like for example, in Power BI's Power Query, you can see here that there's the test analytics vision, Azure machine learning, which you can't really find in the one for Excel, as you can see. It's missing. Also in the homes. Okay, so I come here now and let me change data type to a text. And you see it, we have 4 distinct, 1 unique from this list of fruits, which is exactly what we have here as well. Okay, so that's the difference between distinct and unique. The importance of this is, for example, it gives you like a first-hand view of your data, and it allows you to, before we start, you analyze your data, you can already tell how much distinct or how much unique your data is. So, for example, if you are working with a group of individuals, so you ask people to give you their names and their BVN numbers, or their names and their ID numbers, or their names and the form of identification number, and you are seeing, for example, you are seeing 100 distinct, 99 unique. That shows that one of the BVN numbers or one of the ID numbers you have there is repeated. So maybe you can find out if maybe that was a mistake, or was it like an instance of maybe foul play or something. So this one shows us that the SI unit here is distinct or unique. Everything only appeared once. Yeah, the dates here are distinct, but they're not unique. So that means, of course, multiple sales can happen on a particular day. That's very normal. Yeah, the branch as well, we have 5 distinct and 0 uniques in these different houses in Kenya. And that just means that, well, a lot of people visited those branches, which is also again normal. The last one we have here is go to view and you see column profile. So column profile gives us the column statistics of the data. So it gives us the count, the number of errors, the distance, the unique, and it also gives us the value distribution here of the data as well. So the standard deviation, the max, the mean, and all of that. So most of the time, this might not really make sense. Like for example, if I click on the branch data, I can see the maximum town is this, and the maximum minimum state is this, which technically doesn't really make any logical sense in a way. So I can usually turn it off because it occupies a lot of space. Okay. So once you have your data in Power Query, you can clean your data. Another thing that's also very important in Power Query is the data types. So here you have SI units, which you can change to a text. You can change your date as well. Here, replace current step and replace the step. So now I change my dates to a date, for example, and you can change all of this as well. So I want to show you something. Okay, so these last three columns that are empty, for example, so I also change this again to time. That's correct. So this last three that we see here are the empty columns. So at the moment, the another thing about Power Query is that there's no undo button. There's unlike in Excel where you can undo a step or redo a step. There's technically no undo button. But what you have is this apply steps. So whenever you do something in Power Query is kind of records the step that you do. So now you have this control, the column 9, column 10, column 11. If I select these three columns and I go to home, you see remove columns here. That's actually, and that's like I mentioned, it has a simple UI and most of the things you need are literally does at your fingertips, and they are very descriptive in how they are named. So I want to remove columns. You have two options: remove columns or remove other columns. Remove other columns, you remove every column that's it's not highlighted. For example, if I click on this right now, it will remove everything beside these three columns, which is not what I want. And like I mentioned, there's no undo. That's where the apply step comes in. So all I have to do is come here and cancel steps as well. So I select again these three columns, and now I want to remove columns. So I click on remove columns because I will literally want to remove them. And you see I removed columns, it's being recorded here. And if I come here to remove columns, it shows me the last step, which I did was change type, which is this. So it's taking the file from change type or the data from change type, and it's removing this column, this column, this column. Like I mentioned, you don't really need to learn the M code. It's a bit self-explanatory in a way, but most time you might not really need to use the M code because as when you do the step, Parkway's editor actually writes out the code for you. Okay. So once you're done with your transformation, you can do other kind of transformation. For example, you can split your data. So let's say we want to split our data, maybe the time. Want to split time is to I want to split this time range. You want the 9 a.m. here, I want the before here or the after here and the 9 a.m. here. This is where the split comes. So the split is kind of like your test column that you're similar with the Excel. You click on by delimiter. It asks you what delimiter you need to use, which is a space in this instance. You come here and you select what you want, which is space. It asks you before or this. So it asks what occurrence. Is it the leftmost? Is it the rightmost? Or is it every occurrence? For us, let us go with the leftmost. Whenever it says the very first space, that's where you should split it out. And click on OK. And it has splitted the time range and the other part of the time. So we have before here, we'll see have the 9 a.m. here as well. All right. So again, you can do a lot more stuff like pivoting your columns, like extracting, for example, make everything lower, uppercase, capitalize it later, you trim it, you clean it. You can also extract it, either you're extracting the very first length of a text or even the first characters, as well as you extracting from your dates or even from your time column. Okay, so this is just a quick overview of Power Query. So whenever you're done with your transformation on everything, you come here to close and apply, and it gives you close and apply, apply or close. So close means you should close Power Query Editor, but probably should not save you should not save the changes you have made. Apply means you should apply the changes, and close and apply means you should apply the changes. You should close Power Query Editor and apply the changes. So we can do close and apply, and we'll close it. So we have the data here now in Power BI, and that's a quick overview of Power Query. So I delete this now from the model. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're getting data from instance from what do a little bit of getting it from a PDF from PDF. Okay, so now I come to get data as well. Like I mentioned, they can get it from different various sources. We looked at Excel workbook. Let's look at a PDF. So I click on more and I click on PDF. So I click on connect. Okay, so I'm getting it from this PDF, which is this. If I open the PDF here, it shows me list of candidates in the national election, presidential, senate, and House of Rep in Nigeria. And these are the tables here. I'm trying to get all these tables into my Power Query editor or into Power BI for analysis. So I go back to Power BI and I click on this. And our beautiful job about Power Query is again, it's also again the learning curve. Whatever you are doing in the Power BI stuff, you can do a majority of most of them in also again in Excel as well. So I close this and don't save. Okay, so it's taking a while to load. But once Navigator opens, it's going to show us every data I picked from this table. And one of the reasons is because this table is the PDF is a bit it's actually a lot, like 401 pages. Okay, it's loaded. So these are all the tables it found in the PDF. If I click on this, it shows me each tables as well. These are all the tables, 401 pages. It's just have 401 tables. Okay, so let's come here, right click and transform this data. And it shows me the table. But here's the thing, it shows us all the pages, button and the tables here. So if you look here, yes, it looks a bit different. If you click on this, it gives you a preview of these are the tables that you found in each of them. So the thing is that whenever you're picking from a web page or from a PDF, most times you pick up other tables that you are not important. So for example, you picked up this table that shows you this like the intro part of the page, intro part of the PDF, which is not really what you also want as well. You look here, it also pick the same thing again, which is this is a statement that was written in the pages. But your actual data is decided from here, and it's also not your data. And it's started from here. So these are the presidential table, these first two as well. You also come here again, and this is now also again the presidential table as well. And you look here. Okay. Okay, so if you notice, like all the tables here are repeated, and that's because page 5 here, which is this, and table 00, page 5 is basically the same thing. So we could filter it to only give us the tables and maybe let's exclude all the one that has pages. So if I come to the text.filter, and you can exclude it, it actually contains those that contains the word table. So I come here, that actually give me what it has the word table. I click on OK. But not tables because the tables here doesn't have a S. So let me move this. Okay. It shows me now all the tables in the pages that I want. Okay. So these are the presidential candidates. And then this now comes to the other candidate, which is the House of Reps or the Senate. Right? So after the presidential candidate, we have the Senate candidates and then the House of Reps candidates, which starts from page 8 to 142. So from page 8 to 142. Okay. So um I want to get them. So let me, for example, I want to, so I can duplicate my column. So I call this one, I don't call this one the presidential candidate. Let me say this is just the Senate as well. Okay. So I want to get just the first, all I need is just the first two columns in the systems.
Inasema?
Hello. Okay, so I need just the first two columns. So I just need to combine the very first two, which is the very first two of this data. Okay, actually the very first three of the data. So I need the very first three. So I can come here to keep rows, the top three. Click OK. And you see this sign, I can expand the table. So I expand the table and click on choose the original preface name. No, I say OK. Okay. So this very first three columns here shows me the origin of the data, which is great for you to use, for you to validate that it actually picked up everything. But they're also repeating. So I can also delete this and also delete this with my keypad. Delete. And this is actually my column name. Here, page, SI, constitution, which I can move up. So I can use first to last headers and I get the data in here. So now I have all the, so these are all the presidential candidates that are running this year, running next year, sorry. Yeah, running next year. Right. So we have this now and I can close and load it and load it into Power BI and start my analysis. Now I can also come to the Senate as well. And remember we picked the very first two. So that means the very first three is not what we want. So I can first remove the top three. But before I do that, let me again duplicate this column just to have it. So I come here and I remove the very first string. And I have from table 4, table 5, and table 6. And all of that are all here. Okay. So the House of Senate actually started from 140, yeah, from here, from page 100, which is 144, like the sheet indicated, 144. So I can move everything down here. And this is from table 100. So I want to move the bottom 100. So basically, I only want the top 99. Yeah, the top 99. So keep the top 99. And let's say, okay. Now I have everything all the way to, okay, no, not the top 99. I also need to move the last three columns as well. To move the bottom three. Okay, yeah. So now that we have this table now, I can come here and I want this original name and preface. Let's see what this does. So this is what this does. If I click on this, I remove this in the presidential candidate. It gives you this preface as data dot the column 1, column 2, column 3, which is not what I wanted. In this case, we're going to move this to the top row, so this doesn't really matter. But there are instances where it gives you this dots like Senate name, and now you have to clean that as well. Like most time you don't really want to do that. So I use first to last column, and now I can delete this. Yes. So we Power Query, even though your data is on a PDF or even from an Excel sheet, you can also get the data and get it easily for your analysis as well. So that's getting from a PDF. So now that we have this, I can close and load it. Okay. Okay. So I want to look at that case study. Let's assume we run a store, for example, and every month, we get new data. We get new data. Either we're analyzing the data of our sales data. This month was, let's say 2 months ago was December 2015. Now we have February 2015, 2016, and we have January 2016. And we're trying to analyze it. We don't want to always be doing the same analysis every month or month. So once a way that we'll analyze it once or we add the data once and we can automate it, and whenever we put it, whenever we add new data on it, it automatically adds up this data. So that's the other one that we can do. Okay. So I'm just going to move all of this from the model and create that other table. Oh, oh, if you wonder when our data goes to, it comes here in our data tab, and I can see the data here, and I can start my analysis. Okay, so I'm going to create a new table and call it maybe my monthly sales. And every month I have December. So now for 2016, and then I also have for this month. So let me say I want to do this 2 months at first. So I come here and just come here, go to get data. But instead of me picking from an Excel workbook, I'm going to pick from a folder. So I want to create a scenario whenever I dump in new data sheets into this table, it picks up and it populates my entire table. So I want a folder. So I click on folder and I click on connect. So it asks me for the folder part. You can click on browse here and browse a folder, but I don't feel the UI looks really okay. So another way of you doing it, you can click on the folder and you see copy part. Click on the folder, you can click on copy part and you can paste it here. But it's going to show you this error. So that's because you need to move out the apostrophe, and click on OK. And that way you can also do it is you can open the table or open the folder, sorry, and select this part, and you come and you paste it here as well. So if I paste this, yeah, exactly something. So I click on OK. So it gives me, now it shows me all the extensions, all the files in this particular table sheet. There are only two. We have those, the December 2015 and the February 2016. So I click on transform. Transform will transform data, load data, but there's a new option now. We have combine. So the combine allows you to combine, they can combine these two files together. And that's what I want to do. I want, whenever I add a new file, it adds up the December under, it adds February under the December, and adds the January under the, just like that. So I click on combine and transform. Okay. So it shows me the very first file, and it shows me the list of all the files here. This is the very first file, which is the sales, and these are the different data. It's the same data we used earlier. So I click on OK. So it's going to open again, Power Query Editor. And when you put Power Query Editor, it shows us the monthly sales that we have here. Again, I can remove these last 3 columns. I delete it. And also come here and give it just time. So we can do the same cleaning as I've done before. We've loaded our data, I've cleaned our data. We're only using one data for this. And this transform file shows us the transformation that you have done in your file. You can, any transformation you do here is going to affect this file and going to continue and go to repeat on the next file. So these are the transformation sample file, like it's called. You come to monthly sales here, you see the source names here, shows you, you can use it as a way of verifying if it actually loaded all the files as you wanted. So this is December 2016, this February 2016, which are the two files I loaded. I'm just realizing I loaded February and not January. Yeah, February and not January. Okay. And once you are done, you can click on loads and apply. So let's say if you add a new file, what's going to happen? Okay, so let's try here. So I have a map here, and I think I didn't change my data types. I did query. Close and loads. So for the location, I can click on the branch and load it here in my location. And for example, so here we have price and we have a quantity, but we would have a total. So let's quickly make it total for this. So we have the price, we have the quantity here. So this total sales. So I'm making a quick measure for this our total. So we have the monthly sales here, and I want to just multiply the price by the quantity. So we have the total sales here now. So let's use that. So I come here and I drop in pick my total sales and I drop it on legends, not my bubble size. Okay, now so it shows me the differences in Kenya and the bubble size of the total sales. I could increase this a bit. Okay, yeah. So these are different cities and that sales in Kenya. So let's add a new data and see if we're able to do that a bit. So come here and I click on, I'm going to click on the multi-level card, multi-row card, and I click on, these are my total sales, and these are the different branches. So we have the 5 different cities and we have the different sales. So I'm going to open, this is a new file. Okay. Yeah, it looks exactly the same thing. It's just the different, what I got to change a bit. I don't know, can someone give me like maybe one more city in Kenya? Let me change beside the ones that we have here. So at the moment I got 5, which is equals to of this. Okay, so these are the cities we have so far. Someone give me like one more city. Let me like swap it with the current branch, maybe Ilamo. Hello, Laura, are you there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I want to know if you could give me one more city beside the ones available here so that I could switch it to see if it's going to add up a new data into the current data sheet. Maybe like any city in Kenya besides this, any state. Okay, so okay, so I close the file then, and I come to this and I refresh the. Okay, first I need to add it up to this one. So I click on this and I add it up to my monthly sales table. And when I come here, I just click on the refresh. Yeah, and automatically it just increases the data or the variables in your graphs and it affects all your visuals as well. So this really great in the business use case in the case that you can all you need to do is to build a dashboard once or build your file once. And whenever there's new data, it must always be an ASIC Excel sheet. It can also be from an SQL server. You can also send like you set up a gateway that at a particular time you should go over, gets the new data refreshed, and data gets refreshed into and refreshes the data available on your dashboard. The other problem is that most of the time the file structure has to be the same thing. The columns could differ, but the file structure and at least needs to be the same thing. And even the column data types also needs to be also needs to be the same thing as well. So let's look at another use case. We can also look at it. We can use Power Query to do VLOOKUP as well. So for the Power Query as VLOOKUP, we have two data. We have our sales targets here. We have the sales targets here of all these. And then we also have in our branch data, we had various managers. So the various managers. So want the managers' names to be next to the sales targets. So let's load the two of these tables. So I can come back to home as well, click on get data, and we get to form an Excel workbook. I click on branch data, I open it. So it shows me the branch data. It looks all right. I click on transform. So it takes me to Power Query. I come into new source and I click on an Excel workbook as well. And now I want the sales targets. So I click on open. And I click on OK as well. Okay. So we have our data here. So I'm deleting again these last two columns. Delete. And so now we need to clean this one first of all before we actually merge it in a way that we can see our managers' names next to each of these different branches. So what we're going to use is we're going to use a filter to fill in these missing values. So what the filter does is, which is you come here and you see the field. What the field does is it fills up the data, see it says the next one. So you have a field down, you also have a fill up. The fill down to fill it, so you to pick January and keep filling January till it meets the next value, which is February, and pick February up and fill it till it meets the very next value you meet. The fill up is going to do it in an upward direction. So that's what I mean. So now you have February here of row 6 and you have row 2 to 5 empty. So I click on the fill up. And it fills February up till it meets the next value, which is on row 1. So that's a fill up. But if we just go to this in the opposite direction, which is what the data, wherever the data entry intended to do. So I do a fill down and it fills up the data down. I come to the years, I also do the same to fill down 2018 TIF. And this is the next value, which is should be 2019. Okay, yeah, this is 2019, which is out through system 1. So I go all the way to yes here and I click on a fill down. And I fill it down till I get to row system 1, which we have here. System 1, which is the 2019. So now that we have this, we have our table here. We have also again the branches here. We could merge these two to give us each of the branches and the branch managers as well. But before we do that, onto unpivot these columns. So what unpivot does, it makes your columns rows and your rows columns. And this we're doing that because this data, like as we have it now, is going both, but it's going It's going downwards, as in like you can add new values where you get to the ending, and you're saying is to get add new values at the edge as well. So either in a new pizza type, you have to add it here and you add the figures, add the new here, add the figures. But I just want to have everything going downwards. So I'm going to select either I select this tree and I click on pivot and I click on pivot other columns. It's want to pivot these ones. Or I select everything from here and I go to pivot columns. So I want to pivot these particular columns. So now we have the our columns headers, which are pizza types here. And we have the values here, which is just the target. Okay. Okay. So now once the in our branch data, our branch data has the branches, log two and log two to also have the managers' names. I want the managers' names to show up in our sales target. So to do that, we can simply do a merge. If you come to add queries, yeah, you come here to home, you see merge queries and you see append queries. So what merge query does, merge queries merge your table sideways. So it's going to create a whole new column and merge it here, kind of like what we want with a VLOOKUP. A append query is going to do it in a very different or separate way, in the sense that it's going to append it. So if maybe, for example, like you're appending this, if now you have the next year, you have for 2019. Oh, let me just go down. So you have, let me just move, load more. You have 2019, you have 2020. So for 2021, it's going to append it below it. So the data is just going to appear below it, which is kind of similar to what it did here in the monthly sales. Whenever we have a new data, it appends it directly like below the data that we already have previously. That's an append. But what I want to do is a merge, which is kind of like what we do with the VLOOKUP. So I come here now to sales data, sales targets, and I click on a merge query. So I want to merge my sales targets with my branch data. And you have to select something that they both have in common. In this case, it's our branch. And or we click on our branch. Okay, so it's only merging this, and that's because I did not change the names. Okay, let me come back here. I thought I changed the names. Okay, so let me go to my sales targets. So I open this column here. I come here equals to a so these are all the unique cells. I need to let me replace this. I will say we have more capacity measures. Yeah, so we have now we have yeah, so these are the data. So I close this. No, not save. Okay, so we have this now. But let's try something different. So these are exactly what we had there, but let's say we're changing it now. Here we have state. Here we have. So we're just trying to make it a little bit different. And here we have city. So I save it and I close the data. I come back here. I click on my refresh. Let me save this refresh. Yeah, I just refresh the data. Now I come to sales data and I want to merge, I want it to give me the branch managers' names next to the branches. So I click on the merge query. I come here and I click on the next other table which I want to merge with it, which is the branch data. And then I select is it what branch I want to use. So we have the branch here. We also have the branch here, so they're different. So once you have selected both of them, you see at the moment it's not giving us a total branch, but we know every branch that's here, so the branches that are here, that's where the fuzzy match comes in. So the fuzzy match allows us to match our data based on the level of similarities we kept. So we can make it a little bit similar. We can give it a level of similarities, or we can just decrease it. So the lower you go, the more like it's not going to make it's more less strict it's going to be. Loss is the word less strict. The more less strict the Power Query editor is going to be. So if you put in a 0.1, you'll probably get all your match, but you also get a lot of mistakes as well. If you put a 0.1, yes, it's a percentage. It's also going to give you as well. So if you leave it as 1.0, yes, it didn't match a lot of them because this got narrow based state, but this got something totally different. So let's try 0.8. Steady match rate is 0.7. Yeah, so I click on OK. And once you have merged it, it's as I appended it here. If you don't want to append on this particular table, what we would have done is we should have merged the query as a new table instead of merging it on this very table that we are on. So once you're done, you click on this arrow and you get to select the columns you want. Do you want all the columns or do you want some of the columns? Let's take out that's a longitude. And this is what I meant, the user original column as preface. So it's going to use brand data dot branch, brand data dot manager, which is okay now. In case click on OK. And now let's move this here. So we saved us a match. So now we can see that even though they are a bit separate, so they're different, it was able to match up all the data as well. And once you're done with your transformation, you could click on close and apply. If you made a mistake, you can always come here and cancel your steps as well. Okay, so close and apply. Okay, so now we've looked at how we can use it to kind of automate our using it, get data from folder, getting data from PDF, and getting data with a VLOOKUP. You could also get data from other sources like an SQL databases or even GitHub. But so let's look at how you can get data from an API. So if I select this and I have this website here stored in, so I come here, I copy it, and okay, so I have this now. So I have some injection files here and different REST from different REST APIs. So these are the various links. We have the city bike, we have this developer account, we have the New York Times and all of that. So we'll use the city bike. So we'll pick the link, we'll copy it. We go back to our Power Query. We come to get data. We go to web. And you just put in the link and you press OK. So it shows us the data available, which is these are the different station units, the station types, the external ID. Yet it shows us the electric bike waiver. Let me see, there's a description. Okay. Yeah, so the electric bike waiver, there's no description here. And we also have the station service. So even though there's a list, that means there are also further data inside it, in most of them at least. And here we have, sorry, and here we have the station short name, the station's name, the pointer unit, hundred, and all of that. So you just have to pick in the information you want to get from the API, and you can move the other ones. And the good thing about using get data from this JSON file is if there are that more data is added into this API or through the JSON file, you get it directly there into Power BI. All you have to do is either you have done your gateway, or you can just quickly refresh and you get in the data as well. Okay. So I think my time is actually up. It's 4 o'clock at the moment. Hello, Laura.
Yeah. Hi, Benedict. This is Shadrach.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just in for Laura. Yeah. So
Oh, okay. So it's 4 o'clock, and I think my time is up.
okay. According to my time, you still have got about 22 minutes. I don't know, like perhaps you might be done with your call with the talk.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay. So
Good.
I'm just sorry, like I couldn't join for the much part of the call because like I was in traffic. So, but now I'm settled. So I'll just catch up with the recording later on, and also like perhaps you might be able to share the resources that you used, so that I can
Oh,
share with
yes, yeah,
with the guys on the call.
so yeah, sure. I'll share the resources I've used. Okay, so we'll also let us take a look at maybe getting data from a GitHub account as well. So for the
Okay.
resources I
Okay.
was used, we're going to use this,
Okay.
which,
But perhaps if it's also for the links, just paste them on the chat window.
oh, okay. Okay, so for the resources for the link, so we have this data here, which is Irrelief, which is right now on GitHub, and you have this as well. So this is the data. Yeah. So GitHub has this raw, yeah, which shows you which you can use to get the raw data. I don't want to download it. So I come here, I copy this link, just like similar to how we did from web as well. Don't have to go back to Power BI to open it. So I just have to go to the new file, and here I just look for the data source I want. If data source is not available, you click on the more, and you get back the get data tab, which shows you all the data types, all the data that are all the data sources that are available. Sorry. So I click on new source, I click on web, and I paste in the link. And now I press OK. Okay. So again, the data was calculated due to the size limits, and I select it. So I click on OK. And now I have the data with us. So we could do a little bit of cleaning. So what we want is yeah, we can say that these are the titles actually. So I can use this as the first solar headers. By showing this, I go to transform. I use these first solar headers. Then I come here to these last two columns. Okay. So now we have the sessions here. We have the bench, we have the squats, the deadlifts, and all of that. But we have the names of each individual here, the first name, last name, the dates. We want a table where the first name is here, the last name is here, and the dates is here as well. So we just need to duplicate these first three columns. So I'll duplicate this column and duplicate this last two as well, and duplicate this one as well. Okay, so now that I have the duplicate of this, I can move all of them to the beginning. Okay. So now we want the first names, the last names, and the date as well. So if you notice here, we have first name and last name, but they are both joined together. And the same thing as where last name and the last name is also joined together, the dates and the January is also joined together. So we just need to split out these columns. So I'll come here to split columns and I'll click on, by splitting it now by delimiter. The delimiter we can see here is the space. So I click on it by space, by the rightmost occurrence. Since I want to just pick it at the space that's at rightmost of our data source. So I click on OK. And now we have Martins here. So I also come here again, do the same thing here. I split column again by delimiter. And I'm doing for the rightmost multi occurrence. So I click OK. Okay, so I have these two here. Then I also come here again, split again by delimiter by the rightmost as well. Okay. And once I'm done, I can remove this tree. Okay. So just like we did with the sales targets, we have the same situation where the data is also filled down, but it's just the first one that is kept and the next new data is kept here. Very similar situation that we also have here as well, this one. So I just need to fill down this last tree. So I select these ones and I fill it down. Okay, so I just noticed something. Okay, so what I just is that so I'm canceling all the steps. Yeah, in this step here. So in this step here, when we're supposed to do the delimiter again, we're not supposed to pick the rightmost because it's actually separated. It's all right, yes, but he also took away the January. So I choose space and I go to the leftmost. So I only want to move out to the very first space. So I click OK. Okay, so now we have the January, the dates here. Yeah. So I just move this here and I take out this. Now we can fill down this and we fill it down. So we fill it down. Okay, so now we can move this up by moving out. We want this to be the first name. It should be the last name. And then once it also do this, we can just add it up here. also the column name here that we kept here. And come here to fill column. We want to change this one. I want it to become the date. So this is not date. Okay. So now we need to take out everything that we don't need. We only need the 1, 2, 3, 4 till the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So yeah, we can go to session or go to any of them we use, and we're gonna take out everything but the numbers. So we don't want blanks, which are unknown. We don't want the first names of everybody. We only just want the 1 to 10. So click on OK. And lastly, we also don't want sessions as well. Okay, so now we have a much more cleaner version of that data that we had earlier on here. So we have the first names, the last name, the date, the session, and then of each of everybody. And once we are done, we can do a close and apply and yes, let me view this. That's mistake. All right, so now we have the data set. We have the data here. So if I come to my data, I come here and I see my data here, which you can view. So with Sparkware, you can, again, you can actually automate some of your tutorials. You can get your data from various data sources as well. You can also usually get them either from an API or from a JSON file or from XLM file as well. And you can use it to do your merging, your appending, your widgets, and a lot more data as well. So I've kept the descriptions in the charts, and you could check them out. Ashadok.
Okay, okay. So like, are you done?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. So like, I guess now like at this point, like, we can take some questions. So if you if you guys have got some question for our speaker, just kindly unmute yourself and then ask the question, or just use the window area, the chat window. Sorry.
Is a short description is a stuff. Okay, yeah. Okay, guess there are no questions. Someone else mentioned that wasn't so familiar with Power Query. I'm not quite sure I got the name.
Hello, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I don't think we have any questions. So I guess we can just end the call here. So thank you so much, Benedict, for the call. Although like I wasn't present much time of the call, but I'll try and catch up with the recording. But thank you so much for this wonderful session. We've seen like how Power Query can be a very good data cleaning tool inside the Power BI. So, and thanks so much for my co-organizers, Humphrey and Julie, and also like Laura. So I'll be sharing the resources like via the email. So like make sure you join our Power Platform user group community. That's where I'll be sending out an email after this call and just share the resources like for this call also. And I'll be able to add all those things that has been shared like on the call and also the link to the recording. So thank you so much, Benedict, for the call. I'm hoping to see you like in a couple of weeks for another session. So thank you
Yeah,
so
that,
much.
yeah, thanks so much. Thank you so much for the invite. And yeah, see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. So have a good day and have a good evening, everyone. Bye.